So what we are trying to do, we are trying to revise the business analysis part we covered earlier. And I know this is not very difficult to basically understand, but here we are trying to revise how business analysts function in a real corporate American or corporate Canadian culture, or organizations where we work for, right? So we'll try to understand the policies, procedures, rules where we normally deal these things in terms of the templates what we use, in terms of the quality policies we track or we adhere to whenever we join this corporate culture, right? And that's why this revision is for. This revision is specifically for the new joinees, where we try to guide them to how to adopt to these what you can say quality policies, how to start using those typical proverbs, typical words which companies use within themselves, right? So let's start ahead. Well, I'll skip the introduction. I believe you know the introduction. The agenda is overall understanding the overall track, how we moved, and why do we have clubbed this together, and then we'll move on to the Agile. Pardon me. So, business analysts, right? Here, what we are trying to do, we are trying to analyze business. We are trying to understand the business, capture the requirement for a particular solution or for a particular new engagement or extension to engagement, and so on and so forth. So what we do, we are part of a team, or we are the team if the company is really short. So what we do, we normally interact with the clients, interact with the another organizations here, and we try to basically build a new engagement within organizations. So this role is really critical role, where you are basically a kind of median for two independent different organizations, where we are trying to start our engagement most of the time. There are a few times where we normally add to that. So we develop the solution, we given it to organizations, and then we add the solution to it, right? Does that make sense? Is it in line with your thought process as far as business analysis goes?
Yes.
Great, no problem. So let's take a step further and try to understand how we're going to do it, right? Normally, what I do, I try to stick to an example where me as a business analyst, or we as a business analyst, we work with a company called Infosys, which is there in North America. It's a IT giant from India. We normally work with our sales management team to give a solution to organizations called State Farm, which is an insurance company within the Midwest region. They have their corporate headquarters near St. Louis. So this is an insurance company where a technical company like Infosys trying to provide a solution. And this solution is about enhancing their manual attendance system and making it automated. Okay, this is the example which we normally follow. We try to build various requirements. We try to build various solutions, options, and we try to zero down to the best possible solutions to be given to the State Farm by me as a business analyst working at Infosys. Is it easy enough to understand?
Yes.
Yes.
Because this practicability gives you a perfect dimension rather than keeping the stray thoughts. Okay, so we are defining on a particular solid ground here. This will be our example whenever we try to explain business analyst. The company name can be anything. Here we are just taking a concrete name where we have a specific domain attached to it. We have a specific what you can say maturity attached to a company. Okay, and we'll understand how the company is being matured, and so on and so forth whenever we do our project management session, which will be in a week or a week or two from now. Okay, there what we'll do, we'll try to understand how we manage project, how we construct something, how we build something for our partners. And as you all know, GuruSchool is partnered with quite a few technical companies like Infosys, Wipro, TCS, and most of our business analysts, they get employment via our channels with these companies. So that's why I'm normally specifically trying to share this example with you. Okay, so what we do, we work as a business analyst. So one fine day, sales manager comes to my desk and say, hey, business analyst, there was an inquiry from a company called State Farm. Okay. And we have a meeting plan tomorrow morning to understand what they needs to be done as a technical solution. So whatever State Farm came to Infosys, and this sales manager is leading the engagement to understand what Infosys can do for State Farm. Now, these are really good company, good assets, good value, good number of employees. So you as a business analyst helping that engagement to initiate, to start, to grow. So that's why all business analysis functions, the role they play are really crucial, because they are a medians or a bridge between two organizations. You are working with the technical organizations to help an organization not so technical. In our scenario, sometimes you work for an organization like bank and you try to basically discuss your solution with the outsourcing partner. So you might work with something like Bank of Commerce, American Bank, and there are organizations like Infosys, Wipro, TCS who are helping you out to build banking solution for you. Or you can work with ICICI and you help the outsourcing partners to build solution for you, as in to build solution for the ICICI Bank, but you are kind of analyst, or you are analyst helping the outsourcing partner understand what you actually need on the ground. So that's why for us, understanding couple of technical mumbo jumbo's technical terminology is a need of the, and we'll do it progressively. Okay, business analyst is an art and a science. Why it's an art? It's an art because we are trying to convert business requirements. Yeah, somebody wants to have a question. Vandana ma'am, Vandana Verma ma'am, do you have a question for me, ma'am?
No.
Okay, no problem. I heard some words, no problem. If you could please mute, that'd be great. If you have a question, please do speak out. There's no problem there, right? And I'm there to answer all your questions. We are going to learn this thing together. Even I learned quite a few things from you. So please don't, this is a more of discussion session rather than I am, teaching on something. Please don't take it that way. Take it as a discussion session and we'll grow together. That's how I normally play. Okay. Again, coming back to our example where me working as a business analyst for organizations where we are trying to build some solution for me, or I'm trying to build some solution for my other partners. Okay. And this is how we normally be a median, a bridge between two organizations. And most of the time we start the engagement. So you can understand the criticalness of the business analyst. You can understand how visible the role is. And you normally start interacting with the top bosses, because all these visionaries who initiate these new things are normally top boss. Might be VP, CIO, CTO, PMOs of the world. Okay. So that's why business analysts are the best jobs in the world, because they get the most awards. They get rewarded like left and right. They really get appreciated very well, even much more than a project manager in normal life, in a practical life, because the role itself is a really visible and a critical role. Okay, project manager, program manager, they construct things, they build something, they lead teams, while business analyst is a kind of bridge between technical and non-technical. So we are going to learn some technical words, and we are going to follow some processes and policies to build some good documentation to generate some a good technical knowledge to be transferred from one organization to another organization. That's what business analysts do. We analyze business. We try to conceptualize a solution. Okay, we don't construct it. The construction, we have a team. We just try to understand the vision from the dignitaries and then try to elaborate that vision from various other counterparts of those dignitaries, so that we gather those requirements, we understand the needs and the background in depth from such processes. Does that make any sense to anybody, or am I contradicting with your thought process?
Makes sense.
It's good.
Great. So slowly, steadily, we'll pile up on this. So I believe I've given you an introduction and I have given you a complete solid sample to which we will get building our thought process slowly, steadily. Okay. Now, as a business analyst, normally, if you look at 1940s, 50s, 60s, that time, project manager used to do this business analyst who used to work as a business analyst. So he used to visit these clients to understand their requirement. But then all these, big management institute like PMI, Carnegie Mellon, Institute of Engineers, they sat together and they thought through was the biggest, challenge in terms of project failure. They found that the requirement which we collect needs much more attention in depth by a specific team rather than project manager, because project manager plans the construction, he gets the resources, he acquires those resources. Here the resources means man, material, machine, and we'll discuss in this concept in our project management sessions. But right now let's try to understand in a terms of management. Resources are man, means humans like us, materials means raw material which we need to construct something, and machines, the machines which we require to construct those things. Okay, so in a typical scenario, whenever you try to build a car, you are basically trying to collect various the body, the frame, the machine, the tires, and the glasses and all bandwagon of it, right? And there are some humans who try to assemble these things together. If you go to a car plant, they don't do everything in their house. They try to procure parts, they assemble the car, and then they sell it, and they get profit on that assembling and selling the car. They don't manufacture tires. Means if you go to even the big cars like Ferrari, Mercedes, and all those things, they don't manufacture tires. They procure tire from some better tire company, MRF, Bridgestones, and so on and so forth, because that's easier for business. So as a business analyst, we need to understand the business, we need to understand the domain where our partner is working. Now, if I'm working with Infosys, I'm the technical company. The other company is normally called partner company or a client company. These words are referred left and right in typical IT world. So we need to understand client is where to which I'm serving, and I'm a part of a technical organization most of the time. If I'm working for something like ICICI and I'm coordinate with the outsourcing partner, then again, the other company is a partner. The company which I worked in is basically the technical partner of the other company. Okay, so the client is the persons, or stakeholders are the person who belongs to client most of the time. But the theoretical definition of a stakeholder involves everything who is interested in your project, interested in your construction. Okay, so we are trying to learn these mumbo jumbos of the IT world. So when I say client or a stakeholder, now you have an idea to rely upon what we are saying, what I am saying, right? So here, let's start to build our thought process in terms of business analysis. So as a typical business analyst, what we do, we gather requirement. We try to understand what the other party, the partner, is need from me, or what my organization is going to provide as a solution to a partner, to a client. And how do we build it? Let's try to understand through a practical sample, a process, right? So sales managers comes to me one morning and saying, hey, business analyst, tomorrow we have a meeting at a client, and we are going to meet this VPHR where he had some problem with his attendance management system. Okay, so please be ready. So what do you mean by be ready? What do you mean by be ready is basically me as an analyst need to understand and build those things, or I need to start working on some homework. So what type of homework is needed here? We need to understand the organizations, the client, what they do in terms of major business, what they might need in terms of attendance management solution, and so on and so forth. So I do a bit of homework. I go to Google and type there State Farm. Google comes back and tells me, hey, State Farm is an insurance company, headquartered at so and so place, and blah 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 blah. This is the CIO, this is the CTO, and blah blah blah. Normally, there are all type of dignitaries mentioned in that organizations, and I might find a VPHR's photo there where to whom I'm going to meet on the next day. Okay, it can be a Zoom meet, Google Meet, or you can go and personally meet. Let's go the older way, where me and my sales manager goes to VPHR and try to understand why he needs a technical partner like Infosys. Okay, so I walk into his office, he greet me, he offers tea, coffee, whatnot, and all those things. Then the VPHR, my sales manager, and me basically start understanding how Infosys can help State Farm. So how do you do that? VPHR tells his sales manager, as we discussed on the phone, and I know I couldn't pull out much time to discuss. So let's start working on this, new thought process which I have, and we have certain problems to basically address to. So what he says, I have this old manual attendance process where I am trying to basically address quite a few problems like proxy attendance, the time recorded is not correct, and so on and so forth. If you can recall, in good old days, if you go to office, you used to sign a ledger or a register or a actual document with your attendance, name, time, and employee number or something like that sort, right? And that manual process used to be supervised by a senior person from HR or security, where he used to check your ID. So when Ravindra Pandey goes there as an employee, what he does, he signs against the name of Ravindra Pandey, a typical date of 27 March, the in time is 6:48 a.m. or whatnot, and then the attendance has been recorded. Okay, and then these records has to get updated in the computer by the HR executive or something, and then that attendance is marked. Similar way, when I go out, I sign a ledger saying time out, say 5 p.m. On 27 March. So my day end, I go home happy. So what all work has been assigned to me has been done. That's the attendance, manual attendance process we used to follow in good old days. Now here, there are quite a few proxies. Means Ravindra Pandey can mark attendance for Vandana Rao, Ravindra Pandey mark attendance for Babuji, and so on and so forth. Now, there are hardly few ways to stop this, because supervisor is a manual person. He has his own engagement. He has quite a few tasks on his shoulder, like check out the security, check out this thing, that thing. He gets call on his mobile. So the process is, really challenging, not so perfect. So what VPHR tells me, hey, sales manager, could we have some process where I can go away with all these challenges? So sales manager say, hey, business analyst, what do you have in mind for State Farm? So as a business analyst, if I did really good homework, or even most of the times, even that VPHR or my sales manager also can suggest, why don't we go with something like biometric attendance, where the employee walks in, there's no need for anybody as in persons to stand there. He puts his finger, he puts his iris to an for marking his attendance. The computer gets updated accordingly, and so on and so forth. We say, yes, that's good idea. Let's work on this proposal, and I would like to understand from you how this solution can be shaped. Now we are trying to conceive a solution as a business analyst to the client, and this is the process of a business analyst work start. And we get engaged with senior persons. We're trying to accept their vision, conceive their vision, and build a solution out of it. Okay, and that's what the most great part of business analyst. Believe me, it's really fun to work as business analyst. You have all the policies and procedures laid out for you. Okay, and we normally adhere to that, and we'll learn step by step how do we do that. So how do we do that? So whenever we are discussing, I normally record the meeting with my voice recording. In today's world, if you are doing Zoom meeting, Google meeting, the meeting is get recorded, and we normally try to replay the meeting whenever I go to my office. and try to create a document called minutes of meeting, normally referred as MOM. So when in IT, discussions, you hear a word like MOM, it refers to minutes of meeting. It's a really crucial document, very important document. Whatever meetings we conduct, we try to formulate this document called minutes of meeting, where I try to collect who initiated the thought process. Are there any action items related to this thought process or these discussions? Are there any end dates or target dates assigned to these discussions? And who going to do this? Any assignment as such, if Ravindra Pandey is going to discuss it, if Ravindra Pandey initiated this thought process of having an biometric attendance system, then I'll mention Ravindra Pandey, his designation, initiated a thought of creating a biometric attendance management system for State Farm. Okay, understood. Now we discuss in depth afterwards. Okay, then even I had offices in 6 different countries. I want to have a centralized database so that if Ravindra moves to Spain or Canada, his attendance is also marked at a central place. So his holidays, in time, out times, shift in day, time, daylight timing, and all these uh, issues are automatically addressed. Now, what we are talking about, we are talking about collecting the data from all the offices at a one place. And this is what we call data centralization in a normal scenario. I know today we are going to basically walk on quite a few, unknown terms, and I'll try to guide it to you. And these terms are really, really important because these terms will come into our sessions quite often, and you have to understand this terminology. Okay, 24/7, data centralization, cloud, and so on and so forth. Okay, so we'll understand each and every terminology step by step. Please ask me if you got confused anywhere. Okay, and please don't wait for me to finish. Start asking questions whenever it comes to your mind. Okay, so what we do, we start building this minutes of meeting from either listening to the voice recording, or now we have various tools like convert the speech to text. If you have ever visited Google Meeting, the Google Meeting does it for you. Means, of course, there are a couple of add-ons also to do it better. Even they have released this speech to text type of add-ons to Google Meet, Zoom Meeting, and they are available in almost 60 plus languages. So even if your meeting is in Hindi, or you are recorded that meeting as a voice recorder, you can upload this MP3 file and all those sound files and get them converted to text. So I can just do a copy paste. And the organization in which I worked as an employee, Infosys or any other organizations, they have templates for minutes of meeting. Now let's try to understand this word called template. You might have heard this word. Anybody heard this word called template before? Anyone?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, great. So templates are basically standardized documents or standardized blank document as they normally defined in terminology, where we add masalas, add our data to it and make it actual documents to release. Like, let's think of minutes of meeting. So what I'll do, I'll add these minutes of meeting. I'll do cut, copy, paste. Like Ravindra said this, VPHR said this, sales manager said this, and then these are the action items attached to so many personalities at so many target dates, if there are any, right? So this is all minutes of meeting, a kind of table with some additional details, like meeting happened on March 20th, 7 p.m., 3 p.m., whatnot. It lasted for around hour plus. We had a really great fruitful meeting. These things are normally included in the minutes of meeting, so that whenever you start, you have the template to be filled out. So we actually do something called fill in the blank kind of scenario, where I build this document called minutes of meeting. I rename the file. I believe everybody know how to rename the file, or we'll do a practice on that. Don't worry on that part, where I normally label the file as minutes of meeting for the meeting held on March 20th from 3 p.m. to 3:30 p.m. Then in the meeting, I'll have meeting held on date, time from to, then the attendees, even the minutes scriber or minutes writer, minutes author, that will be me, is in business analyst. So, and then I have total points discussed, chronological order, initiated by, action to, target date, and so on and so forth. This is a standard content of minutes of meeting, where we'll try to understand what we discussed. And these minutes of meeting document can be Word or Excel, is normally put before everyone as an artifact. Now, artifact is a word where I substantiate my claim that these things happened. So how do I substantiate, or how do I prove that these meetings have happened? I proved this with the help of minutes of meeting. That's why minutes of meeting is called artifact. That's the fact supporting document, and that's why we call it artifact. So minutes of meeting is one of the most prime artifact we create as a business analyst, and these are reviewed by your either reporting authority, RA, like a senior business analyst or a business analyst manager or a requirement manager or a sales manager. Depending upon your organization, this structure may vary. Okay. In the next state, we might have quite a few meetings. In a normal practical scenario, if you ask me, there could be at least 4-5 meetings. There could be 30-36 meetings as well, depending upon the complexity, depending upon the solutions we are trying to address, depending upon the client as well, because client can demand, most of the time client initiate these meetings. Does that mean that I can't know? Even business, as a business analyst, I might go to a client or HR executive or HR manager and saying, hey, HR manager, could we meet for half an hour or so? Because I want to understand your current process. Where do you input your data? Where do you normally keep your, holidays tracking, leave tracking? How can we include those leave tracking in our solution, and so on and so forth. So that way I can have quite a few number of minutes of meeting to start my business analysis process. Does that make sense? Anybody have any question for me at this moment?
I have a question. See, what the product owner is more similar than the business analyst. What you are telling, even the product owner does the same thing. He meets the client, he gave the requirement, and he started gathering information. Does it? Whether my understanding is correct, or can you please correct me if I'm wrong?
Yes, your understanding is correct, sir. Let me explain it. Product owner here is what we're talking about, the VPHR, who builds this vision, who have that initial idea. Okay. Now these are very senior persons, senior in the sense they are at a higher post, they have too many things on their plate. So normally product owner don't type or construct these minutes of meeting. That is given to somebody like business analyst, somebody like sales management. Now let's try to understand product owner role, because as we are came to discuss, that's why we have a specific training sessions for product owner, because this is really a crucial part of any solution. Understanding the product owner's vision, mission, background, and the needs for his organization is really crucial. So if you are working as a product owner, where you're trying to guide your technical partner, like the example we just discussed, not the Infosys and State Farm one, the other one, where I work in an ICICI company as a business analyst, and there is a technical partner called Infosys who are trying to help me to build better software for tracking down NPA or tracking down any fraud detection system or any cyber system leakage. Okay, so here I work as a product owner because I guide these technical partners on day in day out basis to make sure they are not building anything which I don't need. They are not going haywire in terms of their thought process, their requirement gathering. So as a product owner, I'm kind of leading these requirements, or I'll say sanctioning this requirement in the typical IT world. So product owner is basically a approval of these minutes of meetings. He is the approval of the other artifacts which we are going to discuss in few minutes. Does that answer your question, sir?
Okay, thank you.
No problem. And these are important. This is basically kind of jumping the guns, but still business analysts closely work with product owner. Now, business analysts are person like you and me, where we have worked in industry for at least 3-4 years. I'm trying to understand the processes, the policies, the way the American corporate culture we work as an employee. And when you talk about product owners, these are very senior person, CEO, CTO, BPHR of the world. Okay, and they are referred as a product owner because vision, they own the vision, they own the product. Own in the sense they are sponsoring this product development. If you ask me in a typical business scenario, the product owner sponsors the project. Not always, but most of the time. So whatever funding discussions, whatever cost discussions, whatever how much State Farm will pay to Infosys or ICICI will pay to his technical partner, normally channels through these product owners. And that's why product owner is really crucial item. And business analyst, we normally work closely with the product owner. Yes. Any other question on this topic?
Product owner is a representative from the client, and business analyst would be the consultant who comes to understand what product is going to be built. Is that correct understanding?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, and that's how we basically start building solution, start understanding solution. So minutes of meeting is my first document, first artifact I create for starting understanding of the thought process background from a product owner where I'm working as a business analyst. Okay, let's take a step further. Then I might have built, let's say 4, 5 or 10, 15 MOMs. The next document I work on is called formalization of a requirement or system requirement specification, SRS, or system requirement documentation. So SRS and SRD, this is the terminology which were normally used in discussions. Even in interview, there are quite a few instances where they have asked you in terms of business analyst, what do you mean by MOM? Why do you create these MOMs? What is the meaning of SRS, SRD, and so on and so forth. Now, these two documents, the business analysts are the owner. There is a reviewing party in the sense somebody within your organizations review those documents. This is kind of understanding or just making sure we haven't missed anything. We haven't worded or phrases those requirements in some really crucial terms, because these documents now going to go to the clients for their approval. So for that, we have a reviewing party, and mostly all the matured organizations, they have a reporting authority as a reviewer. So in Infosys, we have sales manager who normally came with me for this meeting, is my MOM reviewer, who will basically review each and every MOM and then request me to send it to VPHR for sanctioning approval. So what VPHR does, I'm basically trying to take this with example because then we can relate to a person. So VPHR goes through this MOM, whatever business analysts have written is in line with the meeting, and he have not included anything from his side. And overall, the solutions or the thought process is clearly mentioned there. The action item, who is going to solve those action or address those action items, the target dates. He might suggest you back, this target date looks really stringent to me or liberal to me. So he might ask you to change some wordings, change some target date, or reassign the task to somebody else as well. And this thing do happen practically. So MOMs get revised, rewritten, and sent for reviewer and sent for approval again. Once we have all these MOMs reviewed and approved, I start working on something called formalization of a requirement where I use a template called SRS or SRD, where I include these list of requirement, and then we'll add some more things to that, just to make sure we conceptualize the solution now. Based on the requirement gathering, I start building the solution in my thought process. I start giving a shape to the idea, to the vision, after understanding the background, foreground, scenarios, exceptions, and everything. Let me take back to something like the example which we are talking. Me as a business analyst, gone to VPHR of a state farm with my sales manager on some day, and I started collecting MOMs. That was my first meeting. Second meeting I have with HR manager. Well, I try to understand what type of systems they have by themselves. I try to understand the background of it. I try to understand his wish list in terms of what he needs, how many offices are there, and what are the different timings, time zones, this, that, different calendars, different leave schedules. Like if you work in India, you have so many holidays. If you work in American or Canadian culture, you have just maximum 8 or 10 holidays for a year. And then you have optional leave, casual leaves, this leave, that leaves, depending upon your organization policies and procedure. So we try to adapt those things in your solution. Okay, give me a minute. Somebody's given me a message. I'm having a headache. Okay, no problem, man. Sure. Vandanam, please take care. Don't worry. And you can have a look at this recording also. I know these are difficult terminology at first, but you need to listen to a couple of times. And please do ask questions if you have any. Don't think I'll get disturbed and everything. That's my worry. Your worry is to understand these terminologies, right? And we're going to build on this. Okay, we might have a couple of such sessions again, because I want to make sure you understand, or if you want to work as a business analyst, you are ready with all the tools and techniques. So that's why I'm taking these revision classes. Please don't ever think that you will disturb me with your questions or something like that. Okay, chalo. So yeah, so the step is we start building something called SRS or SRV. This SRS is a document. Again, this template is given to me by Infosys, where there are certain chapters as in Word document. Normally, there are certain guidelines within that document. I'll share these templates with you. I have some sample templates. Come again. Sorry. Anybody have any question? Vandanana? Okay, no problem. So what we are trying to do, we are trying to adhere to our corporate processes, adhere to our quality processes, where the templates is given to me and I start filling the blank. So what I do, basically, I include these minutes of meeting, where I include in SRS, I build a list of requirements there. So list of requirement is basically a typical requirement, like, okay, first requirement can be State Farm needs enhancing their attendance management solution from manual to automatic. Second requirement can be VPHR suggested if we could try biometric attendance system, or sales manager have suggested if we could try biometric attendance management system. Third requirement can be they have 30 or 50 different offices, and these are 6 different countries. So I need to implement this solution to all these many offices. So there are some challenges with time differences, holiday differences, calendars, and so on and so forth. So we are thinking of building a centralized solution. It'll be 24/7. It'll be administered by the head office team, and so on and so forth. So the list of requirement goes on and on. Well, I try to conceptualize the solution based on list of requirement, where I build some conceptual solution. Now, how the conceptual solution looks like? These conceptual solutions are normally in a diagrammatic form, where I create something called high-level diagrams or conceptual diagrams. Now, let me not disturb with you difference between high level and conceptual diagram. We'll have a look at it. But here I create some, symbols on pen and paper, or there are some softwares available for that. Depending the companies you work with, they give you these tools, techniques, or you might do it on a pen and paper. We'll have a hands-on workshop on this high-level diagram as well. Okay, so this high-level diagram talks about what type of solution I am supporting and what type of requirements I am addressing to. So at one end, on a left-hand side, I have all the requirement list, and on a right-hand side, I normally denote various solutions I can give it to a particular set of requirements. I can have multiple solutions for one set of requirement, or I can have one solution for multiple requirements. It's many to many kind of scenario here. So in solution, I start writing down, we are suggesting biometrics like fingerprint sensors. And there's another option called iris scanners, means we normally scan our eye. So that is what we call iris scanners. And then I'll release this solution on a cloud where it can be accessed all across the globe via mobile, tablets, PDAs, desktop, server, laptops, and all the bandwagon of it. Okay, so these type, I'm trying to conceptualize the solution. I draw a diagram called high-level diagram. As I told you, high-level diagram is also part of SRS and SRD. The list of requirement is a part of SRS and SRD. And there are quite a few things which we normally add, where I normally call UML diagram, unified modeling diagram, use case diagram, sequence diagram, SWOT analysis diagram, fishbone diagrams, and there are a whole list of tools a typical business analyst can use, and there are a whole lot of organizations which uses this permutation combination. But the maximum time, there are a couple of things which are repeated over the industry. These are use case diagram, high level diagram, list of requirement, and an initial timelines. What is this initial timelines? When we have to start or when we have to finish construction of this solution, product, services, whatever we are offering to the client. And that's all it includes in overall SRS. Simple enough. We are trying to build minutes of meeting and SRS as well. So we're going to learn how these UML diagrams are shaped up, how these conceptual diagrams are drawn and shaped up, included in SRS. On the basis of this SRS, the project manager, the designers and architects of the world, they create a document called functional specification. Again, it's referred as FRS or FRD, functional requirement document or functional specification document. Here, what I do, I normally get into details of each and every requirement. As a project manager, designer and architect, I try to create them small pieces of the solutions which are normally referred as a low-level diagrams or a class diagrams or object diagram. But as a business analyst, I am in an advisory capacity. I am a kind of reviewer of this FRS just to make sure it is not contradicting with the SRS which I have released earlier, which is approved and so on and so forth. Now there is a process. First, the business analyst and sales manager closely work with the client to build this FRS, to get this FRS signed, sealed, sanctioned. Then we have a meeting called project kickoff meeting. Now in project kickoff meeting, the organizations normally assign a project manager, designer, architect, and I meet them for the first time. In project kickoff meeting, me as a business analyst, I present the solution which is discussed, sanctions by the client to this project manager, the designers and the architect of the world. And there are quite a few senior dignitaries from my company as well, where they decide which project manager is a better fit for this solution, which type of designers and architect are better fit for this solution, so that we can take this thought process to a real construction now. So I start building. If it's a software solution, I start building software. If it's a product solution, like I might need to create a new phone, create a new tablet, create a new house, anything for that matter. So I'll basically assign the relevant project manager, architects, and designer team to that as an organization. So I transfer this whole knowledge, basically two documents or multiple MOMs and one SRS. I hand it over to the project manager and a team, because project manager is a leader to construct these things and then give it to a client, and then client pays us. Well, client can pay you upfront some money, can pay you with some intervals, and then at the end of the delivery, he can pay you rest. Depending upon your contractual terms, we normally have these payments given to us as an the company which I work for, right? And so on. These are the normal dealings, how it happens. So project kickoff meeting is one of the most important meeting where I transfer the knowledge of a business analysis to the project manager, where they can start designing architect. Again, I'll repeat, I am not an architect or a designer. I am just a requirement collector, and I conceive the solution. I'm using the word specifically conceive as in child conceived me, because I conceive the idea. I bring the idea of a solution project services into real world with some description, with some conceptualization. So now you can understand the criticalness of business analyst. Can anyone guide me in their own words what business analysts do? Anybody?
Understand the requirements of the clients and
Right.
work with the project team for making the project success.
No, sir, that's not business analyst design. Business analysts don't assign any team. We just work as in part of organization, right? So I closely work with sales manager, who is not very senior person normally, but these decisions are done by a quite senior persons like CIO, CTO, PMO of the world. So I am just an instrumental party in trying to understand the requirement. So gathering requirement, yes, very crucial task. I do as a business analyst, right? And then I go to a level where I start documenting this requirement into MOMs, then SRS, and I build the concept solution. Does that make a sense, sir?
Yes.
Okay, so me don't assign any team, or I don't assign any task to anybody in a normal practical world. Business analysts, yes, they are critical. They are critical to the process because they initiate this solution, right? They initiate this thought process, what needs to be done, what needs to be addressed, and so on and so forth. But they don't assign any task to anybody. Normally, I am not a leader as a business analyst. I am a kind of what you can say, my job is to understand the concept or build concept based on the requirement or the issues shared with you. Okay. Okay, no problem. Yes, anybody else want to see these?
I can go on it.
Please go ahead, ma'am. Yes.
So as a business analyst, my task would be to meet with the clients, understand their requirements, note them down as minutes of meeting so that we have a formal document.
Perfect.
And then create the system requirement specifications with all these requirements, and then come up with a framework or an idea about how to go about the project. Wow,
really great. You summarized in perfect terminology. This is what we do as a business analyst. And these expressions, whatever you're sharing is very important, because this is kind of interview questions is normally asked. What do you think what business analyst does? And this is the right answer to it. So I start building the solution with the help of MOMs, with the help of discussions I had with all these dignitaries, the VPHR of the world, the sales manager of the world, the PMO of the world, and so on and so forth. So that's what I do as a business analyst. Does that make sense?
Yes. So I have a question. What is the difference between the SRS and the FRS, the functional requirement versus the system requirement?
Really great question. SRS is created by business analyst, reviewed and sanctioned by the product owner. FRS is created by the designers and architects of the world, and it's approved within the Infosys as a technical partner company who is providing solution. FRS normally is a kind of Bible for the product you are going to create.
Okay.
So FRS will have all the nitty-gritties. Should we use .NET? Should we use Java? Should we use MySQL, your SQL? Should we use diesel engine? Should we use petrol engine? Why diesel? Why petrol? And so on and so forth. So whole 9 yards of it. Now size-wise, FRS is normally a document which span up to 15, 20, maximum 30 pages. SRS. If you talk about FRS normally starts from around 50, 60 pages. It can go up to 2,000 pages as well. Means if you look at FRS of a particular car, it normally spans around 600 to 1,000 pages. And I'm talking about a non-complex car.
Okay.
There are FRS for Tesla, there are FRS for Ford F-150s, there are FRS for the Mars satellite or Land Rover, which NASA have created. Now, FRS is a technical term used for a reference document we create while building something. So if you create a building, you have a blueprint, but civil engineers, they don't use descriptive terminology like normally we use in FRS. So if somebody includes blueprint and the progress of how that building is created, how we purchase the land, how we get approval from municipalities, how we get approval from that for that blueprint from governmental organizations, and so on and so forth, then that will be the FRS. This will include how many floors got approved at first, then how many floors approval we got later, what type of interiors are we looking for, are we using POP, are we using plastics, are we using cement, concrete, slab, iron, and so on and so forth. So that will basically include in FRS. FRS is a kind of Bible for the product, services, or support we are trying to create. SRS is what the FRS is based on. So SRS is my basic document on which the FRS is based on. So FRS is going back.
So is FRS also an artifact which a business analyst would create, or it's not out? It's out of scope of the business.
Yes, it's out of scope for business analyst. FRS is created by designers of the world, architects of the world.
Okay.
And so they are
our role will end in until the SRS or until the conceptual diagram. Is that right?
No, ma'am. In typical industry, your role doesn't end anywhere.
Okay. Okay.
We keep working. As I told you, we work as an advisor to FRS.
Okay. Okay. Got it.
Business analyst reviews the FRS for any contradictions with whatever you created, right? Because we need to check some point of time.
Sure.
Keep whatever I conceptualize the solution, the other party is not contradicting with that. If he or she is contradicting, then he need to put up his case. And we'll have a look at how that decision analysis thing works. So don't worry on that part. We're going to learn that as well. We're going to learn what type of fights we fight, what type of discussions we have. Yes, it's a part of the game, right?
Yes. Yes.
It's a part of our growing up also. Okay. So FRS is basically based on SRS, which normally doesn't contradict with SRS. SRS is owned by business analysts, like the MOMs is owned and authored by business analysts. Well, we do use template, but at the end of the day, the construction is mine, the conceptualization is mine, right? So that's why I own this document.
So I had one more question. This has been bothering me. Like when I joined TCS around 10 years ago, we had the waterfall model, and I understand for waterfall model, all these documentations were really a part of it, right? You have the business, you have the requirements gathering, and then you go forward. But in today's world, like with the projects moving to Agile, are these still like the artifacts which are created, or do they have different name, or are they called the same thing? In
Let's just
Agile?
yes, all these artifacts are necessary even today's world,
Okay,
and they are created.
okay, okay.
Again, the second question, do they label it similarly? Most of the time, these are the industry standard,
Mhm.
but in some organizations, somebody might name them differently.
Okay.
But you'll get to know. Normally, whenever you join an organization, there's something called employee induction workshop.
Mhm.
In that workshop, they normally introduce to a system called quality management system. Now, this system have all those repository of all these templates, right?
Mhm.
So in templates, they normally guide you which is SRS, which is FRS. And they'll basically label it out so, and they'll explain it out why they have labeled it so, in case they call requirement document or artifact to be approved by clients and so on and so forth. There could be any name, right? And depending upon your culture, your upbringing, you try to label it otherwise. But normally, these are the standard terminology we use every year around the globe.
Okay, okay, got it.
Okay, so please don't worry. And whenever, okay, that's why we have something called project support in GuruSchool. So what we do, in case you join some startup, a new organization, which is funded by, let's say, a French migrated to US. He is the owner of the company. He funded that organization and he given a French name to this document. Possible, right?
Yeah.
Because French, they normally go with their thought process as in their linguistic. In America, we normally don't care about linguistic. We care more about communication.
Yeah.
In Canada, similar way. But well, Canada is more French than North America. Take this lightly. These are the jokes basically.
Yes.
Because so the name of the document doesn't matter that much. If you get the gist of why we are trying to do what we are trying to do, you will basically can relate a document in your organizations one way or the other.
Okay, got it.
Okay,
Got it.
there are some organizations I have seen. These are basically startup, not so matured organization. They start writing SRS on the first day. So rather than having MOM, they have a chapter called collection of MOMs. So in these, we have MOMs on 3rd March MOM, 20th March MOM, MOM with VPHR, and so on and so forth. So we have such tables included in SRS itself. So this thing might happen. But at the end of the day, we need to build the conceptual solution based on the MOMs, based on the discussions we had, right? So that's how things progress. Does that make sense? Good.
Yes,
Good.
sir. And I don't know if you're going to cover it in future slides, but like you have the epics and you have user stories. So
Right.
I was thinking on those lines, how are these separate from those artifacts, the epics and user stories, which are dealt
Right.
on it?
Sure. We'll have a special session on converting requirements to user story.
Okay.
Because
Okay.
nowadays, yeah, around 95% of project executions based on Agile Scrum.
Right.
So we normally estimate in terms of user stories. We normally convert these requirements to user stories. Okay, so we are going to learn that as well. But yes, that's really great questions. We include user stories in SRS.
Okay, got it. That
User
was
stories
what I was wondering.
are basically kind of stories about a need, right?
Yes.
And well, we'll discuss about those definitions and how we do it. So don't worry on that part.
Okay.
That part I have still not covered even in our main class. So you are not missed that thing. Don't worry. What all we covered is what we're going to revise. And then from next week or next to next week, we're going to start working on different tools the business analysts use. So we also revisit on a hands-on experience on UML as well as HLD. Don't worry on that part. You have not missed that thing. We also try to create MOMs for new joinees, because there are two new joinees, right? Nabila and Vandana Rao ma'am. So we will basically revise ourselves, and we'll try to understand this thing in depth. Okay.
Thank you, sir. Yeah.
No problem. Any other question for me at this moment? Okay. Now let's move ahead. Now, whenever we start working as a business analyst, there are certain best practices industries do have or have adopted. As we discussed about a couple of good organizations previously, like the IEEE of the world, International Engineering Institute, the IEEE. Then there's a Carnegie Mellon, one of the most prominent project management institute. Then there are NASA's, there are American militaries, and there are companies like Project Management Institute. There's an addition to this list called Business Analyst Institute or International Business Analyst Institute, IIBA, or International Business Analyst Association, where these guys build standardized business analysis processes. They collect the best practices for business analysts, and this association also gives you certificate for business analysis called CCBA, and there are a couple of others. The site name is, I'll share that site name with you. Give me a minute. And I'll basically show you the sites. The site is at iiba.org. Okay, let me share that site with you. Could you see my screen?
Yes.
Certification pricing is here. So they have created some discount in pricing. The site is iiba.org. Okay, now this is the site which basically collect all best practices for business analyst. Now they released a book called BA book, Business Analyst book. Okay, all these certifications are based on business analyst books. Let me check out there. There should be some, specific mission chapters. They have various chapters across the globe, and this is how basically the business analysts look like. This is a new diagram. Even I haven't shared this diagram, means I have not seen this diagram. This was just updated. Could you see technology focus, business focus? So business analyst is in between. So as a business analyst, which is a profession, which is a leader, we normally progress in career as an enterprise architect. Okay, or business process architect, or business process analyst, and so on and so forth. Okay, I'll share this image with you. I'll share this link with you. These association specifically create a document called BA book, which is used as a standard best practices across the globe as an how to do business analyst. I shared this link yesterday with a couple of other documents. Now, whenever I go here to the knowledge book, they ask me a username password. Now you can sign up, which is free of cost, where you sign up and you'll get the knowledge base of a business analyst. Try to do that if you want to make a career in business analyst, right? And then there are quite a few, good information material available on IIBA. Have a look at it and you'll basically understand how the business analyst organization help us. International Institute of Business Analysts help us to basically do the best or utilize the best practices for a business analyst work. Okay. Now over there, I take a screenshot of that same BA book and I have included here, where it gives you a clear idea of how business analysts process from start to finish. Like ma'am have said, where does business analyst work starts and where it ends. Now these diagrams tells you on that, okay, or guides you on that as in best practices. Let's try to understand. We get oriented in the sense I'll try to understand which client I'm serving, what type of client I'm serving, or what type of problems I'm solving. So this is what we called about get oriented. Then the next step is discover the primary business objective. I'm trying to address the solution for business objectives rather than technology objectives. So as a business analyst, I'm least worried about if you use Java, .NET, this database, that database, Oracle, MySQL, your SQL, big data, small data. No, I'm not worried. I'm more worried about business objective. What are the problems I'm solving? And this is what we call the domain knowledge. So if I worked with car industry, I'm a domain expert in car industry. If I worked with banking for a number of years, I'm a banking domain expert because I have understood how the bank functions, how the car manufacturing functions, how the insurance industry functions, how the attendance management solution are being shaped up. If I'm working on attendance management solution for 5+ years, and that was the domain expertise is all about. But to grab a job, to get the best possible or best paying opportunity, we might need to learn couple of domains according to the area I am residing in. For example, if you're residing in New Jersey area, there are lots and lots of healthcare industries. So I will start studying on healthcare, how healthcare function, how these pharma companies supporting hospitals, how the medicine delivery chain works, how doctors are being helped by technology, what type of robotic solutions or what type of hospital management system these guys are using. If I work in Midwestern region where there are a number of car manufacturers, or what you can say auto domain. What do you mean by auto domain? You manufacturing cars, bike, trucks, buses, and so on and so forth. Okay, so there, if I start working as a business analyst, I need to understand that domain. So we need to understand the business objectives, and that's why this domain understanding is very crucial. Hope I'm not confusing you. Any question at this moment from anybody?
No.
Hope you are understanding what you mean by domain, right? Because this is the question quite a few people ask. When we normally align our profile for a particular domain, because I am residing in New Jersey, I am residing in Midwest, I am residing in Vancouver, I am residing in Texas. My profile gets aligned to the domain which are near and dear to me. Okay, and that's how even in profile building section, Devji might ask you where do you reside, and based on that, we align our resume, we align our profile. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. Now next, define the scope. Now scope is really important. What is scope? Let's try to understand. Let's take a simple, example of me going to my office, right? It's a simple task I do every day. Now, when I start from my day, I'll just check my car. If I have enough gas, enough, air in my tires, my car is fine to go take me from home to office. As simple as I do check these things. Why do I check these things? Because it's in the need for my next task at hand. But do I check like what's my body temperature every time I get up in the morning? No, because that's what I call out of scope. But I do check myself. Do I have a fever? Do I look like feverish, anemic or something? If I am, then I might check my body temperature. This is a normal understanding of a humans to define your objectives within some limits. So I define each and every of my objective with some limits, with some exceptions and inclusion. Inclusions are basically what I call in scope. Exclusions are normally out of scope. So if I'm making a tea, I don't check for vegetables. If I'm making a tea, I don't check for if I have ice cream in my refrigerator or not, because that's out of scope. But I do check if I have enough milk, if I drink a milk tea or cream tea, whatever. So this way, there are some inclusion and exclusion. Now here, as a business analyst, I need to check for a particular solution, which I am conceptualizing. At that point, whatever the point at discussions, is it included or excluded? If it's included, then it's called in scope. If it's excluded, it's called out of scope. Now, all these references of in scope and out scopes are normally defined in my SRS, and I'll guide you how I define this thing in our diagrams as well. So my HLD, my use case diagram, have a clear definition of scope. clear definition of what are the things which are included in this solution or excluded in these solutions. And I might mention the things which are included list wise. And even I mention exclusions sparingly or to a few instances. So everybody can understand whatever included in the scope and whatever not in the scope, which is not mentioned there. And then I sit down and formulate a business analyst plan after defining scope, where I'll formulate a plan whom to talk to, who are really crucial entities to the solutions. Like in our normal sample, the HR manager who is managing the attendance will be my most crucial point to discuss, because he is managing the attendance for previous so many years, so many months. So I normally sit with him or her and try to understand if I need to automate the attendance system, how best way I can do it, what all his or her wish list, his or her thought process in basically initiating these new terminologies or initiating these new solutions with the best possible approach or best possible suitability to their current challenges. And that's why I have these meetings, right? These meetings where I build MOM, which is included in SRS. That's how I try to make sure whatever we include in the scope are defined, decided, and approved from the client, so that I don't miss anything. So my requirement should be concise, complete in itself. I also define detailed requirement in terms of what are the deliverables. So when I say, as we discussed, the VPHR have suggested a biometric attendance. So what I'll do, I'll try to mention the biometric attendance and the deliverables for that wish list. So what are the deliverables? I'll include a thumbprint scanner where the employee can put his finger and his or her attendance is notified directly to the computer, and then directly that will basically get uploaded to the cloud server or whatever the actual parameters in the requirements, and the result and the deliverables of them. So deliverables are basically the items entity we give it to the client. In normal scenario, software is just an intangible entity. What is intangible? You can't touch with hand. You can't feel the physical presence, but it's there because it's working, right? The solution is working. The tangible thing is the biometric reader, the thumbprint reader, the ID readers, and all those kind of scenarios. So here I define the tangible as well as non-tangible deliverables. Even I plan the support technical implementation, the need of the training. If the solution we are giving as an Infosys to state farms are quite technical, then I might plan a proactive training for the users to use it. And that's also part of overall technical conceptualization. So even quite a few support strategies are included in our SRS. What I'm doing at the end of the day, I'm helping the business to implement the solution to ease the life of a client, and that's why they are paying me. I'm trying to make sure the state farm will have efficient business processes, or they have better life after we implement this solution. And that's why they pay to us as a technical partner. That's why me as a business analyst helping both the organizations to build some business value from this solution. And that's why the business implementation solution is really a crucial part, which is done after the construction of a solution. So as a business analyst, I closely work with the project manager, the architect, the implementers, the testers of the world to basically understand the product is being developed, designed, created as per the thought process or the vision shared with me by the VPHR and included in the SRS. And I'll make sure the project manager, designer don't contradict with the requirement which we have collected earlier. So me as a business analyst, I work exclusively as an advisor even during the construction phase of the project, even during building phase of the project as an advisory role. Then me as an analyst, and this is a kind of new improvements happening in last decade, where me as a business analyst, I'm going to the client after delivery or after completion of project and asking him or her, does it really help you? What is the solution we give? And then the client says, yes, but we might want something additional as well. So you start taking requirement for the next phase. You start understanding how we can grow the engagement between these two organizations. And that's why business analyst role is very crucial as an assess value created by the solution to the client. So this is more to do with the customer satisfaction processes. We normally call customer satisfaction survey, CSS, in a typical IT industry. And that's why business analyst work start with understanding vision. It still continues on and on and on. And as I told you, business analysts are the most appreciated persons in the world. This is the most appreciated job role in the world. Yes, anybody have any question for me?
Yes, Ravinder sir, this is Vandana.
Yeah, please go ahead.
So BA deliverables will basically have the SRS document, right? And once the deliverables, to my understanding, so the project manager comes after 5, after defined detailed requirements, right?
That's right.
When the project kickoff meeting is done, then the FRS, then it goes to the core team, right? And development team and everything, right? Is my understanding right?
That's right, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. Anybody else have any question? Please do ask questions. I really encourage to ask questions just to make sure that you don't carry any confusion with you. Even I'm available on WhatsApp. I don't advise to call because I'm in India right now. So if you call me in your daytime, that's my night time. I might not pick up your call, right? And that's why, but WhatsApp is a better. Just park your question and I'll definitely answer it. I don't normally ignore my WhatsApp messages. Okay. And you can ask me questions anytime. And during the discussion is the best way because then we can discuss it. The others can also benefit from it. Okay, chalo, let's take a next step. Now, there are certain, certification and the industry standard in terms of business analysis process. Let's talk about that. This is important because what we are trying to do, we are trying to be the best business analyst and trying to grab the best possible opportunity in terms of the best possible pay scale. The business analyst pay scale starts from around 80K plus, 85K plus, and it can go up to 120K plus. But if you are business analyst and project management training both, the pay scale starts from normally 150K plus. So you can see how the overall pay scale gets doubled, almost double, if you have the project management training as well. And project management is really a job where you lead the team. Business analyst, you are working as an individual capacity most of the time. Yes, you closely work with team. You have a sales manager. You have even different senior BAs, junior BAs with you. But it's a single contributory role. Okay. I hope you can understand what I'm trying to say here. Contributory role and a leadership roles. These are the roles which are defined by the human resources, where we try to understand who does what, who are prepared for what, and those kind of scenarios. So let's try to understand business analyst standard, regulations, and best practices. Now, as I talk about BA book, it is a standard for practices of business analysts, and it is for the professional who perform business analysis task, recognized globally as a standard business analysis best practices. It guides the business professional within 6 core knowledge area. We are going to cover these 6 college. We have already covered 6 core knowledge area. I'll share that specific recording with you, and we might have a question and answer session, or you can ask me question and answer whenever we can have a plan, a call, and all that. Or you can ask me questions on the WhatsApp as well. No worries on that part. So we have 6 core knowledge area describing the skill, deliverables, and techniques that business analyst professionals requires to achieve better business outcomes. for the best business outcome rather than better business outcome. So we continuously improving. Even as a business analysis, the IIBA also guides you to improve your processes day in day out. Now this 6 business knowledge area talks about six independent topic where we normally try to understand what goes in, what processes we do, what output comes out. So for that, these 6 knowledge area are really important. Okay. Definition as per the PA book of a business analysis is the practice of enabling change in an organizational context by defining needs and recommending solutions that deliver value to stakeholder, that is value to the business. Does that make sense? Could you understand what this definition means? Anybody have any challenges? Hello, am I audible?
Yes.
Okay. Now this is a theoretical definition. If somebody asks you what is business analysis, this is the definition you can share with them. Okay. Business analysis is the practice of enabling change in an organization context by defining needs and recommending solutions that deliver value to stakeholder or a business. This is what we do as a business analyst. The set of tasks and techniques that are used to perform business analysis are covered in the 6 knowledge area, and we're going to learn that. This is to be liaison between client and development teams, a bridge at times to support business change and initiate solution conceptions and without conflicts or confusions. So this is a kind of supporting to the definition of business analyst. These are again the standard definition. If you want to do a certification, then you need to understand or really remember this solution, these definitions. If you are trying to give an interview, you can basically address this definition as per your thought process, as per your thinking, as per your learning. Okay. Any question for me at this moment?
No, good.
Okay. Let's take a step further. Now, business analyst's role, what he or she does, right? And how we basically try to understand how business analysts function in a day-to-day life. Let's work on that. Business analysts play a vital role in aligning the designed and delivered solution with the needs of a stakeholder. This is really a big statement, believe me, because we align the solution to the needs of the stakeholder or needs of the client. And that's the most important things we do. That's why we get maximum appreciation, we get maximum awards. The activities that business analysts perform include understanding the enterprise problem and goals. So I meet VPHR, the HR manager, and various other executives to understand what type of attendance management problem they have, why they need this solution, analyzing the needs, analyzing the solution, analyzing the background, and then devising or building strategies, how they can be helped the best possible way. Driving the change. I lead the change within 2 organizations. Infosys is creating a solution for State Farm for improving their attendance management system. So I am driving the change and facilitating the stakeholder and collaboration. What does that mean? We work together closely with the stakeholder and the clients of the world to make sure I solve their problem. Now let me play a video where we normally try to understand how does BA functions in a typical day. So let me, I'll not give you that introduction, but I'll basically, oh, come on. The business life. Okay. Business analysis. Let me play a small video for you and you'll understand how BA book is really important for everyone, for like BA business analyst plus the other teams as well. So let's have a look at this thing. This body of knowledge, also known as BABOK, has been developed by International Institute of Business and you can see this video, right?
Yes.
Okay. So I'll just play. We understand how the BA book is designed and why we normally refer to BA book as a best practice guide, because it's based on 6 competencies and we normally try to understand these competencies as an input process output way, where we understand what are the things, tasks and outputs are expected out of business analyst. But in a bolder sense, we generate 2 documents, specifically MOMs and SRS. And within the gambit of that, we also design some high-level diagrams, use case diagram, SWOT analysis, fishbone analysis as per the policies and procedure of organization which we work in. Or in some cases, some stakeholder might demand. Okay, it's almost 10:30 right now. Do you want me to continue for half an hour or should we meet again? What do you suggest? I know it's a Sunday evening. I don't really want to stretch you a longer time. Please guide me.
I don't mind staying.
You don't mind continuing?
Yes, I don't mind continuing.
Okay, great, no problem. So let me take a good, stock of how the 6 knowledge area is going to help us out. As we just seen in a video, the first knowledge area is BA planning and monitoring, or business analysis planning and monitoring. Describe the tasks that business analysts perform to organize and coordinate the efforts of a business analyst and stakeholder. These tasks produce outputs that are used as in key inputs and guidelines for other tasks through BA book guide as well. So it's a start of business analysis process. And how do we do it? Let's look at it basically. So there are needs and performance objectives which we try to collect in terms of minutes of meeting, right? We collect the needs, we collect the requirement in terms of MOMs. Then we plan the business analyst approach. We try to understand how can I do it better? What's the best way? Whom should I meet and greet? Who can tell me more about this requirement? Who can tell me more about why they need this attendance management solution? And so on and so forth. Then we have planned stakeholder engagement. So once I understand whom should I meet, I normally decide when should I meet, what is his timing, which type of tools, did he or she likes Google Meet, Zoom Meet, personally meet. And believe me, there are quite a few business analyst meet happened on a weekend in a bar, at a dinner for a restaurant, or at a lunch, or at a sandwich shop as well. So there are these business analyst meet, which are normally can be termed as a formal, but happens at informal places as well. So as a business analyst, I need to formulate a plan. I need to plan this stakeholder engagement and meeting. And then I need to also build a process where I'll govern the analysis in terms, I keep checking, am I doing best? Am I using the templates given by my organizations or a BA book? Am I doing it correctly? And that's what we're going to learn through various tools and techniques, templates, so that we don't miss a thing in terms of requirement. And that's what the most crucial part of requirement gathering as well. So plan business analysis governance is also my task. Plan business analysis information management. Whatever information I collect, this is really easy nowadays. Previously, I need to look for those paperwork, those files. Nowadays, everything available on a cloud. So I can check my cloud via mobile, laptop, PDA, desktop, and any and everything for that matters. So I manage and control the information which I have collected via various meetings. I upload them to the cloud And then I normally give the access to the requested party, as in reviewer, approval, editor, publisher, modifier, commenter, and so on and so forth. There are quite a few rules if you can understand the document publishing mechanism on a cloud. We don't have to go to that. What I do, I normally upload the document to the cloud, and the cloud itself does the rest of it. So I'm not really worried of how do I share document with whom and all. The cloud does for me nowadays. Identify business analysis performance improvement. These are the kind of further improvements if I can do my task better day by day, or how can really enrich the engagement between Infosys and State Farm, or my organization and the other organizations. I keep improving myself in terms of a business analysis, policy, procedure, rule books. The output expected is basically business analysis approach. This can be few lines with bullet points. What type of approach I'm using? Am I using MOM template? Which template I'm using? And where do I basically release the SRS? What are things included in the SRH? Which template I'm using? What type of tools we have planned to use in terms of business analysis? Are we using SWOT analysis, fishbone diagram, and so on and so forth? Then stakeholder engagement approach. This is again a simple Excel sheet or a Word document where I normally plan. Whom am I meeting today? Whom have I met yesterday? Do we have the MOM in place? And so on and so forth. So these are the type of stakeholder engagement approach. That's a kind of output. It can be a simple table, or it can be a really exhaustive Word document also. Depending upon your organization policies and procedures, you will work on that. And again, this goes without saying, there are templates or standardization already applied for such documentation. And then the governance approach. As I discussed, we need to build a governance approach, and this also actually governs the whole, where the document is, where should I release the document, whom will be my reviewer, and so on, so forth, those things. In case I need to change something, whom should I contact, who is the cloud administrator, and so on, so forth. Information management approach. This is also a part of governance approach, where we normally try to have a discipline approach in terms of my information management or the information which I have collected. There are certain artifacts which clients also shares with me, something like sample HR database. So whenever I need to pull out information like the holidays taken by Ravindra Pandey in last year, I'll normally refer to this database. So where is that database? How should I refer to it? And so on and so forth. So these kind of information management approach, data management approach has to be mentioned in the SRS. It's a part of SRS quite a few times. But yeah, in some organizations, they don't include in SRS, depending upon, again, how the quality policies are formed for your organizations where you are working for. Then you have business analysis performance assessment. This is an assessment. In many organizations, they have a policies and procedure for checks and balances of performance on a business analyst. How he or she is performing. Is he or she's adherence to the quality processes we have created? Is he using the template which I have created as a standardization practice within my organizations or not? And those kind of scenarios. So like that, we basically create the necessary output. We define the business analysis process as per the BA book standard best practices. Does that make sense? Can you understand how the best practices are being applied here? Any question for me at this moment?
No.
Okay, let's take a step further. I know this is easy enough, but we should understand this, right? Unless you understand this, unless you know what to be done, right? So it's different, difficult scenario. Now, next one, next knowledge area, elicitation and collaboration. Elicitation talks about the human language converted to technical language, or the conversion and the loss of information in between. We need to reduce the loss. we need to convert the vision to a technical part of it. And that's what the elicitation is all about. Describe the task that business analysts perform to prepare and conduct elicitation activity and confirm result obtained. It also describes the communication with the stakeholder once the business analyst information is assembled and the ongoing collaboration with them throughout the business analysis activities. So what I'm trying to do, I'm trying to build policies and procedures for my business analysis or requirement gathering tools and techniques. And I normally share with all the stakeholders with whom I normally have these discussions planned. Okay. Let me try to play you a video of how this elicitation is get done at a practical level. Okay. So let me take a minute here. I'll pause. Understand how the presenter is trying to present his or her idea for the maximum benefits. So that's why I normally play this video so that you'll get another angle to it, another thought process to understand how this can be explained better. Okay, let's move on. The next knowledge, the second knowledge area, elicitation and collaboration in terms of input-output diagrams. The inputs are again needs, business analysis information, stakeholder engagement approach, and business analysis performance assessment. Now, needs, as we know, these are the requirements. Business analysis information I've started collecting from in my first knowledge area. Then I have stakeholder engagement approach we have created in the first knowledge area, where I normally plan to meet and greet few of the executive to understand the technical wish list, the requirements, scope and limitations as well. The business analysis performance assessment is my self-analyze to improve the business analysis process or the output of understanding how am I performing on a day-to-day life, or how am I performing with the other business analysts in comparison. Then I have tasks like prepare for elicitation. So what type of tools I'm using? Do I have any tools necessary to use as far as the organizational policies and procedures, or am I free to choose any and every depending upon the time, culture, even if the users are not near to you, you might go for something like surveys or web pages, question and answer sessions. If they are near to you, then you can personally meet them and understand what they think, what their wish list is. How we're going to define the approach for a particular business group or department as well. Then 4.2, conduct the elicitation. Actually, elicitation. Go for the interview, take the interview, have a meeting, go for a joint discussions. They call it JAD. JAD sessions are quite common because you are talking to a group and spending a couple of hours with them rather than spending 1 hour each. So it's time consuming to have interviewing techniques, but depending upon the policy, procedure, and the requirement of the given scenario, we change this technique as per the need. Confirm elicitation result. These are confirmed by the MOMs basically, which are sanctioned by the other parties as well. Communicate business analysis information. So I'm trying to archive these MOMs at a cloud. Then manage the stakeholder collaboration. Again, check around if he is a decisive party, if he or she is going to make any decisions by himself, or his inputs are carry more weightage than somebody else. These things do happen in a real practical life. So we need to manage stakeholder collaboration as well accordingly. The output, elicitation activity plan, whom to meet, when to meet, which tool to use, and so on and so forth. The result, these are unconfirmed or unsanctioned or unapproved. Eliciting results, I get it sanctioned, approved from the stakeholder as well. The business analysis information communicated via email, uploaded to cloud. In nowadays, we just email with the link of a cloud. So that please have a look at this MOM, which this is for the meeting which we had, and so on, so date, and so on, so time, to understand all so on, so things. So something like that, a communication is a need or give a closure to a continuation of activities. Then we have stakeholder engagement updates. So if there are any changes in next meetings, if you plan any additional meetings, we add it to those list. Does that make sense? Could you understand the input, output, and the processing part of it in terms of elicitation?
Yes.
Okay, great. Oh, I'm sorry, it's almost 11 o'clock for you. So let me stop here. In our next session, might be on next Sunday or something, we will plan to have another knowledge area. I'll share specific recordings with you to understand the knowledge area. We had discussed these things earlier, but for Vandana Rao ma'am and Nabila ma'am, I think they need more insights to this, and we'll discuss that, and they'll have a look at these recordings as well. Does that make sense?
Sounds good, sir.
Yes.
And please guide me if I can help you more in any way. Okay. Right now, just have a look at these requirements. You can ask me question via WhatsApp, or we can plan an extra meeting as well. Okay. In between, please keep learning, please understanding. This is the simplest possible process, simplest possible role as a business analyst. Project manager are basically complicated. They don't get appreciated much, but yes, they are at a leadership position. So you really grow in terms of your salary, in terms of your roles and responsibility as well. Okay, chalo then, let me stop here. Thanks for your time, and pardon me for stretching out your weekend. Let's meet again as per the logistics support and all. Prerna madam is going to continue her mentorship for a couple of sessions more, and after that I'll take over and we'll basically revisit again on these topics. Okay.
Okay. So, sir, the next class would be on Tuesday.
Yeah, it's planned on Tuesday. Prerna madam will continue on Agile and Scrum.
Okay. So, Agile and Scrum has already started, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay.
Started in the sense, as you know, like how do we basically, it's an independent topic to it. So rather than business analyst continuation, we are trying to understand what type of project management software delivery life cycles we use and all those things.
Okay. How many sessions have completed, sir?
I have given you a complete Excel sheet, ma'am, of the recordings and the links and everything, right? You got that?
Yes, I got it. Just to prepare myself for the Tuesday class, just wanted to check.
Ma'am, don't think it that way. Think it as a, you're starting off and start asking questions so that you can, confident by yourself rather than going by those numbers. Those numbers, well, yes, do they help? Yes, do they help? But at the end of the day, me as a person has to acquire the knowledge, right?
Yes.
And that I only can calibrate rather than anybody else.
Okay.
So please be vocal about that. Please try to understand, then and there, rather than, keep waiting for others to guide you. So that's how I work basically. So think it through, don't worry, and don't stress yourself out. Okay?
Sure.
Any questions, do, ask me. I'll be happy to answer you.
Okay. Sure. I'll do that. Yes.
Good. If you have anything, don't hesitate to, put up a WhatsApp message. We might have a call or something that we can plan it accordingly.
Yeah, I would definitely appreciate to have a call, sir. When can we do it?
Call for ma'am means.
I needed to. I had some questions and some doubts. So
you can ask right now, ma'am. No problem.
Sure. Okay. With respect to business analyst or project management, so with you had shared the Kforce link as well, right?
I share the
Kforce. The Kforce. So with respect to resume preparation and all that, when would that start?
It's already started. They have their session on Tuesdays and Thursdays, ma'am. Normally, Devji, post those links. It's specifically mentioned as a resume preparatory session, and that's you can join. Please join it in parallel.
Okay, okay, yeah. As I was just trying to look at the various opportunities available as well. So, with respect to the jobs, sir, is certification required? Is it mandatory?
No, ma'am.
Okay, okay.
Nowadays, all companies are really smart. They are looking for if you can do it, and how do you prove that? By talking. So you need to talk better. We need to use these words, and that's why I keep stressing on these words. If you start using these words, you are ready for getting interviewed.
Okay, okay, that would be great. Yes, sir. And if I have any questions, I will definitely reach out to you on WhatsApp.
Anytime, man. Anytime, anytime.
Yeah, the thing is, my background is QA. I just was working as automation. Then I figured I would fit better in a managerial or a function or a non-functional role. So that's the reason I just wanted to switch. And I thought these fields would be a best option for me right now.
Definitely, man. And GuruSchool will help you. Don't worry.
Okay, okay, sure,
Work
sure.
as a manager, it doesn't take means nobody basically chand tare nahi torta koi.
Yes. Yeah,
At
and
the end of the day, there are
yes,
certain things which we keep learning. We have to learn to get the job done, right?
yes, yes, yes.
And US is a land of opportunity. So we will get the job. Don't worry. Only yes, we need to work out in that line.
Yes.
So thoda bahut kaam to karna hi hai. We need to exert some sweat and blood, right? Not
Yes.
blood exactly, but sweat at least. If you can
Sure.
do that, you'll grab a job. Don't worry.
Sure.
You'll get the best passport. Yes,
Yeah, I was looking at the openings, and there are so many which I would like to apply for, but I have to prepare my resume and prepare for the interview accordingly. So I just was.
Please do join those Thursdays and Tuesdays sessions where they can guide you on how to work on your resume, which part you live in, what type of industries are more in your local area. Because if pandemic ends, you might have to go to the office, right?
Yes.
So for that matters, we normally concentrate on the regional companies, regional domains.
Okay.
So we might need to do a research on those specific lines as well before we start, working on our interviews.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I
We
just
are there to help you out.
I just finished my project last week, so now I'm back in the job market looking for something, and that's why I thought I'll just switch my field and try it out.
Definitely. Why not?
Yeah.
And believe me, within a month's time, you'll be up and running.
Okay.
Means parallelly work on the resume, parallelly, we'll have these sessions. We are going to start project management after this. So mostly in 2 weeks, we'll start on project management. There are 10 knowledge areas to cover if you go by the best practices.
Okay.
In PMI, we have PM book. Here we have BA book. These are the standard best practices book. And if you refer to a standardized book, it's much better than roaming around throughout the world for the project management best practices. That's why I take help of these best practices already revised and understood by many in the world.
Sure. I was trying to look at the PMP certification, sir, and in that they expect job experience. So would we get some support and help with that as well?
Yes, ma'am. We'll help you out. Don't worry.
Okay. I haven't even started reading the PM book, but I thought just why not give it a shot.
Go through the BA book.
Yes.
It's much simpler than a PM book, so that you'll understand the technicality, the technical terms and all, right? Like this elicitation, which is a difficult word, even difficult terms, right? But these guys use it like bread and butter.
Yes.
So we need to understand them. We need to go to a level where we know these words at least, so that we can take part in discussions, right?
Yes.
So that's why there's a bit of preparation involved in this.
Sure. And
I'm
the
not
other
trying to encourage you in any way, ma'am.
Yes, and the other thing was these are all theoretical stuff, but in real time, how the project actually works. So will we be given experience?
Yes, there are lots and lots of hands-on workshops, ma'am.
Okay, that would be great. Yeah, because
there are homeworks there and lots of workshop as well. Don't worry.
Okay, sure, sir. That sounds good.
You'll be completely confident that you can work as a project manager. That's my guarantee.
Okay.
That's what you're looking for, right? As an answer.
Exactly. That's what I'm looking for. Okay.
And Devji and the HR team will also help you to build your best possible profile resume. to make sure you can grab the best possible, best paying opportunities around your region. So don't worry on that part as well.
Okay, sir. Yes, I think that was pretty much it. I'll go through the links which you provided, and it would give me more information as well as
I'll
the
post
video.
that link as well today. The videos which watched and all those things.
Sure.
How are you, Nabila ma'am? Nabila ma'am, am I pronouncing your name correct, ma'am? Hello. I think she might be stable.
Yes.
Okay, let's talk to her in the next session. Okay, thanks a lot for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you, most welcome. Bye, take care. Have a good night.
Have a good day, sir. Bye.
Thank you.